Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about one of Donald Trump's biggest self-inflicted wounds that has him now officially characterized, maybe a little bit, not quite, but pretty darn close, as a rapist. Okay, this is in the E. Jean Carroll trial. So let's just review what happened there. She won the trial, and in order to win, she needed to show that he had, in order to win her whole theory, that he had committed a sexual assault. She just had to show that it didn't matter what kind of sexual assault, but if it was under New York law in the process of a sexual assault, then it became a more serious charge. All right. So she said, what was the sexual assault? He raped me. And when the jury went to deliberate, one of the jurors was unpersuaded, at least beyond a reasonable doubt, that he had raped her because her testimony had been a little bit ambiguous. I mean, you can imagine taking her account. She's all of a sudden thrust into this small dressing room, and he turns from a charming New York courtier to a sexual beast, and he penetrates her, but she thinks possibly with his finger rather than his penis. So that would be, under New York law, would make a difference in the legal definition of rape. All right, so nobody found that he hadn't. Nobody found, and the rest of the jury seemed to think that he had, but it didn't matter. So they set it to the side, and they could all agree on the sexual assault part, and then they went forward and had the guilty verdict. All right, so Trump, from this, has the brazenness to sue E. Jean Carroll for defamation because she went on TV after the verdict and said he had raped her, or that she believed that he had. Now, remember what defamation is. It's got to be something that's false, and it's false. So I think both of these things, both of the idea, is it false? Well, that one juror said, let's choose another theory that we can all agree on going forward. Doesn't begin to establish that it was false. And does she know it's false? Because he's a public figure, and we know this from, Trump has been a one-man legal primer on so many areas, including defamation. Does she know it's false? I think to the contrary. She believes that it's true. So that wouldn't cut it either. But that's, for starters, why it was a stupid motion from the start. But it gets worse because the judge, who is, by the way, Judge Kaplan, the same judge who's going to preside over a trial, what is actually the first E. Jean Carroll trial. I won't go over this kind of convoluted process, why the first is coming second, but it had to do with a long trip around the federal courts to decide an issue and make sure that it was okay, and it is, but it's supposed to be held in January. But anyway, this judge says, you know what, we have this very arcane legal definition, and it matters under New York law, but even under the best version for him, which is that he penetrated her digitally, that's the best, it's still a rape as people generally use it. And so, in fact, he holds that when she went on and said TV after and said he raped me, it was substantially true. Now, stop on that for a second. It sounds like it's just sort of legally persnickety ruling, but we've had two rulings so far from federal district judges saying that Trump has perpetrated a fraud. They had to do it in order to decide evidentiary questions and reject attorney-client privilege claims. But they found, in that context, by a preponderance of the evidence, that he had committed fraud. I don't really see much of a difference between what they did and what the judge did here. So, yes, of course, it's important to insist on all the protections of the criminal law, and in very important ways, Trump doesn't stand convicted as we would in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt of rape. Nevertheless, the judge has held, based on facts that a jury has heard, that Donald Trump is, as it's commonly used anyway, and not the special term of our New York, a rapist. So, this kind of just goes by in the season of all the, incredible travails and reversals that he's facing. But for having brought this ridiculous defamation motion, which was properly thrown out of court and quickly, he now has also the scarlet letter to wear, that at least, people can say with some reason the judge is determined, based on facts in front of a jury, not just his own, caprice, that Donald Trump is a rapist. So add that to the add being legal here. Always insist on the difference between that and someone who's been convicted. I as a lawyer would be the last person to try to efface that distinction, but nevertheless, here we have, by some measure, Trump having been determined by a judge that the facts before a jury showed that he was a rapist. Not a good day for Donald Trump, and again, completely self-inflicted, because it was inane to bring this defamation case against E. Jean Carroll, with whom he has another date of accountability in January, just a few months from now. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.